When it comes to Cherokee cooking, Chef Nico Albert takes pride in pushing her recipes to the next level. And as the lead singer of a metal band in her spare time, really, her whole life is next level.
That's part of being a chef, is that you watch someone and they're eating and you see a smile or you see an emotional reaction to what you're giving to someone. Food and music, you get that reaction from people. You know, you can see when someone's nodding their head or you can see when they're not. There's like that motivation to get a reaction out of people, to feel understood when you're sharing something like that. My name is Nico Albert, and I'm a citizen of the Cherokee Nation, and I'm a chef here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Growing up in California, it was just like paradise, you know? And I don't think I ever took that for granted as a kid. Like, I fully appreciated how wonderful everything was there.
She was a bookworm. She was teacher's pet. She was, winning all kinds of awards for writing, and she was just this really gung-ho, wonderful student. All of the teachers just loved her.
And then my dad got transferred and we moved to Phoenix, and being taken out of the place that I grew up and known my whole life and then dropped in kind of in the middle of the desert. It was like, a desert in so many ways. It was a really lonely place. I was angry at my parents for uprooting us and for moving us to this new place. And I was angry at my environment for not welcoming me in the way that would have made things easy for me. I definitely had a phase of teenage rebellion. I kind of fell in love with punk rock and hardcore music. And I thought, someday someone's gonna ask me to be in their band. And then that's gonna be my life. And I'll, run off being in a punk band. I was a really big fan of Fugazi. I loved Fugazi. Just anything that had that kind of an energy. It felt rebellious, it felt angry, like it spoke to me in all those different ways. Being an outsider there, I was still part of something. And like it was a whole community of outsiders, and that really spoke to me. But at the same time, there's a dark side to it. I started drinking really heavily. No job lasted longer than a month. And I went through a few of those, and then eventually there just weren't anymore. And at the same time, my little brother and my mom and dad moved to Oklahoma, and I was left in Phoenix. And I called my mom and I said, "Will you please help me?" And she bought me a plane ticket, and I flew to Oklahoma. When I got to Oklahoma, it immediately made me feel at home. My mother made sure that we knew that we were Cherokee. That was always part of our identity. We always made food from scratch, and we made it together. We always had this connection to the land. She always had a garden.
So these seem a little big, but they haven't started curling yet, so that's what size you want, right?
Because, you want it to curl like that, huh? Can I chop it up?
Mm-hmm.
My mom was always telling me, you should be a chef, you should cook. And it wasn't until I moved to Tulsa that I finally decided, it would be something I would be good at. I could still be passionate about music and art and whatever else, and this could be a career for me.
There's a little patch of yarrow right there, some young. No, there's a whole bunch of it too. There's some right here, there's some right here.
This is kind of
definitely got a flavor.
It's like licorice, kind of.
Strong.
Yeah.
I'd met native friends that would forage for onions and have wild onions and eggs at home, and they brought some for me to try, and that was something that made me feel a connection to the Cherokee people and feel a part of the tribe. And it just felt so powerful to me that that was something that I could connect to, that I pursued it with everything I had. And then it just grew. I Started incorporating it into professional cooking at that very first job, actually, because I learned to make fry bread, years before that. And they wanted to do Indian tacos, and nobody there knew how to make fry bread. But I said, well, I do. I'm Cherokee, and I can make fry bread. I felt like I owned my identity as a Cherokee person, and then I was sharing it with other people. And it was just a powerful feeling that I've been exploring ever since that. Once I got to Oklahoma, the group of people that I really connected with and found some really strong friendships with, a lot of them were musicians. And so the music was always around and part of my life. My entire social life was music. I didn't really dive in musically until I started spending more time at metal shows. All of that, years that I had really wanted to really be in a band and have that be a creative outlet for me in a real way, it became real. It's like when you share food with someone and you get that immediate reaction where they didn't expect that from you. It's just really rewarding. Learning about my culture has become part of my identity, is that I'm just constantly on this educational journey everywhere I go. Anytime people wanted to talk to a chef about Native food and culture, they started calling me about that. Food starts the conversation, and then it just blossoms into learning so much more about a person or their experience. Because of my position as a Native American chef in Oklahoma, I have all of these speaking engagements and catering engagements and educational opportunities. My goal right now is to use this platform and this opportunity that I've been given and use that voice to spread the message and the knowledge that I've been learning and growing to a wider group of people about Native food and traditional ingredients. Reconnecting ourselves to these plants and animals as relatives instead of as just ingredients. There was a show on the BBC called Hairy Bikers, which usually highlights different people's regional foods. And so they approached me about being that representative to talk about and share Cherokee food. And so that's what we did. We cooked a traditional meal, and it really was just a first look at the Cherokee people for people that had absolutely no context, And I feel like we represented what it is to be a modern Cherokee person and also carry with you the history that we have. This is the food that our ancestors have kept alive over generations. And through all of the trauma and the hardship that's happened to our people, it's still here. And we're here, and we make the same things that our ancestors made, and with the same seeds. It's not a heritage seed, it's not an heirloom seed, it's an ancestral seed. And it's still growing. Making sure that people know that, and that we are sovereign people holding on to our land and our traditions, it's priceless to be able to tell that story on such a large stage.